Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are, whenever you're tuning in. I'm your local shaman, Lady Lighthouse, and welcome to the Light Network. Today I'm going to do something a little different. I typically come on here and share some different offerings, and today I wanted to just come on and talk for a little bit. The topic of near-death experiences has been something that's always fascinating, as well as like kind of life reviews, and I'm obviously in the spiritual realm being a shaman, but I do have a background in engineering as well as it's like engineering, business, life coaching, all of those different things, and so it's just like and healing a lot of trauma. So covering all of the all of the areas, all the spectrums, and really fascinating to learn about your mind. So I recently got gifted a book, which this was a book that was on my list or on my wish list. It's called Saved by the Light, bought by Dannion Brinkley with Paul Perry. And I just read the first couple chapters before jumping on, and I was like, let's kind of unpack this a little bit because I just think near death experiences are so fascinating. They're so fascinating. So for starters, fix the hair. For starters, you might be thinking, well, what the heck is a near death experience? And a near death experience, in the simplest way, is basically when their body is technically dead, but they manage, or like dead for some amount of time, but then they end up getting revived or resuscitated, or they come back to life. Now, that can happen in many different ways. I've seen and read different stories about, people dying for several minutes, 20 minutes, 30 seconds, whatever it is, whether it's they're kayaking and they get trapped under a waterfall and drown, or like in this book, this person was struck by lightning. Any of these different things, and then they go and have these profound experiences before they come back, or like their spirit goes and has a profound experience before coming back to their body. Would I say if I've ever had a near death experience? I would think, to me, I feel like yes, because I've had an experience. I've struggled with sleep for a while, and I thought I had sleep apnea. I couldn't make it through a sleep study to actually get confirmed or not. But I do recall like the biggest thing about near death experiences is when you're like you feel your spirit leave your body, and when you leave, there's like this life review period, but then there's also this like very like returning home, like very joyful, very loving sensation that you get after that like life review. And I've had the I've had the feeling before where I was laying in bed and like I know my body stopped breathing, and I felt my spirit connect home, and I felt that homey like um super warm, super overwhelmingly loving sensation feeling. And I was like, I was in it for, I don't know how long. I didn't have a clock at the time, like a digital clock that I could check at the time. So I don't know how long that occurred, but I know it was in the night while both me and my husband were sleeping, that I left and returned home, and then I freaked out and I was like, oh shit, like I'm not hold on, I like go back. And so I've had that experience. Um and so for me, because I know when I came back to my body, I like took a very big gasp of air because, like I said, I had stopped breathing, or my body had stopped breathing. So that's the closest I can relate to some of the different stories of near death experiences. But I know I've read and researched and watched various other documentaries about other people who have had these profound experiences, which is so cool. So, like I said, in this book, the person is struck by lightning and they leave their body. They see their body being, taken care of, or like trying to be revived, and then their body's pronounced dead, and they go through the light, or they go into the light. They meet a being of the light, and they go through the life review process. Um, so like the life review process, I've heard about this. I've like read about it. I think different religions call it different things, but the really what I get in the spiritual community is this like pattern that whenever you die, whenever your spirit leaves your body and returns home, uh, you're not going and being like stuck in purgatory. It's just basically you go and review how your life went here on Earth in this lifetime, and you go and review, you know, all the good that you did and all of the bad that you did. And I use good and bad, loosely. I should say more of like all of the kindness and love that you shared, and then also all of like the pain and anger and hurt that you shared. And you pretty much get to relive all of that, or get to experience it very quickly, and get to see and feel how your actions impacted others from not only your perspective but their perspective. um, I'm just kind of taking a deep breath there because I know that can sound. There's part of me that's like, that can sound scary. That can sound um, like a terrible thing, and also it could be really beautiful, or it could be really encouraging and motivating for others. So it's really just like noticing. I'm not really, one is not better than the other. It's just kind of pointing that out, or kind of bringing that into your awareness of like, you don't necessarily need to die to have a life review. You could life review now, but it's not. It's not about. I don't. To me, I don't feel like it's about repenting. I think it's about learning and growing, and recognizing how your actions impact others or have impacted others, and then taking that information to grow, heal, be loved, and you know try to be um, try to be a better person. And again, I use better use better lightly here, very loosely, because if you want at the end of your life to feel more love and more kindness, or even just in general, you like day to day, if you want to feel more love and kindness, like that needs to come from within you first and foremost. Like you need to be giving, you need to be putting out that love, that light, that kindness, that compassion, that empathy. Um, and there's a quote in here. There was a quote in here that I like highlighted that I wanted to bring into the space. And um, he was basically talking about like while he was doing he just finished up his like life review, and the like being of light had shared that they felt like love and joy, or the being of light had like touched them, and they felt love and joy that they could only compare to like a non-judgmental, compassionate like grandfather, what the grandfather has for a grandchild. And the words that they heard was, uh, who you are is the difference that God makes, and that difference is love. And I'm pausing for a reason, just to like let that sink in. Who you are is the difference that God makes, and that difference is love. And they didn't understand, they don't really go into this, they have no idea what that phrase means. But when I read this, and you can ignore, if you're not into religion, you don't want to use the word God, you can use source, you can use spirit, you could use, universal mind consciousness, whatever term there. But it's like who you are is the difference that spirit makes, and that difference is love. And to me, what really stands out is like when you are connected to spirit, when you are connected to source, you are connected to love. You are tapped into like capital L love. And so when you know that and when you act from that, like you are a being of love. You are a creator of love. And then they keep going, and that being of light says humans are powerful spiritual beings meant to create good on the earth. This good isn't usually accomplished in bold actions, but in singular acts of kindness between people. It's the little things that count because they are more spontaneous and show who you truly are. I just kind of want that to sink in for a second. And I know we hear a lot of like, it's the little things that count. And they talk about, the amount of love and good feelings you have at the end of the life is equal to the love and good that you put out during your life. And I'm like, I don't like I agree with that and also believe that like each day you get to choose how you're going to show up. Each day you get to choose, are you going to choose love? Are you going to choose kindness? Are you going to choose compassion? Or are you going to choose, anger, revenge, pain, suffering, shame, guilt, etc.? And I don't judge anyone for their past. I don't judge anyone for your childhood. I don't judge anyone for what you've done in your life. I've done some pretty bad things too. Like my my life review, as I was reading this and kind of like reflecting on my life, I'm like, when I was a child, I was a bully for a little bit. I definitely was a bully for a little bit because I was hurting myself. Like, um, and I know my inner child was struggling with some stuff with like my parents and the divorce and everything that was going on, and um, I know I turned into a bully for a little bit, and then I I shifted out of that, but I definitely know I've had a anger, I've had a temper, and I definitely know that I've, caused others pain, um, in acting out of that pain or my own inner pain and suffering and trying to make myself feel better, what didn't work. But it's not. I don't guilt myself. I don't shame myself for that. I have shared, like, I have learned to love myself and learn to, mm, I've learned to love myself and I've learned to forgive myself and forgive others for, you know, what was done to me, what I did to others, and really taking those circumstances, the pain, the suffering, and everything that I've caused and have been a part of as learning, as tools to learn, as information to heal and grow and find love and choose compassion and choose to be loving and choose to be um, empathetic towards one another. I don't necessarily like the word sympathetic because that feels disempowering to me, but I like empathetic or compassionate. And so, I don't know, I think I'm just kind of coming on here and sharing a little bit about the near-death experiences and life reviews as more of an invitation to reflect for yourself, um, and also to be kind to yourself, to be gentle to yourself, because you don't need to, you don't need to die to go through your life review. You don't need to die to change or like be willing to change or be open to change. Um, Here's this information, and you can change your life now. And also, if you do decide to change or you do decide to do a life review, like, be gracious with yourself. Um, be gracious with yourself. Be kind to yourself. Be loving towards yourself. It's okay. Like, I know we're all gonna do shitty things. We're human. We're all gonna make mistakes. We're all gonna do shitty things. It's it's not about beating ourselves up and, for this notion of needing to repent and, say 3 or 10 Hail Marys and whatever. It's just acknowledge what you've, like, who you've been or what you've done. Acknowledge, like, where that might have came from, like why. For me, I'm always about finding like the root cause, because I always feel like any sort of action, especially a negative one, has a root cause. Um, Whether it's a deep-seated trauma of some sort or from childhood or past lives or whatever else. Like, I find that root cause and that root emotion or that root feeling, and address it. Give it love, give it support, give it kindness. Give yourself kindness for doing what you felt like you needed to do at the time to survive, for being who you believed yourself needed to be to survive. Send that version of you love and light and a hug. Again, kindness and compassion. And when you're ready, allow that version of you to leave. Allow that version of you to melt away. Allow that version of you to be forgiven. Allow yourself to be free. Allow yourself to transform. Allow yourself to change. Allow yourself to grow into, who you are in your soul, and that is love. That is light. That is someone who is kind and compassionate, and someone who is so deeply capable of so much love. And so much goodness, and so much joy, and so much pleasure, and so much celebration. And you don't need to hold yourself in pain and suffering. You can choose. You can choose to step out of it. You can choose to take your power back. You can choose the love that is within you, that is around you, that is here. You don't need to listen to the indoctrination of pain and suffering. You don't need to claim those labels. You don't need to torture yourself. Just honor yourself, reflect, love yourself, release, let go, move forward. You've caused pain to others and you feel called to spread love to them in a new way, don't hold back your love. Don't hold back your kindness. Don't hold back your light. You will never regret doing something from a place of love. Even if the person that you are trying to love doesn't know how to feel it yet, doesn't know how to see it yet, doesn't recognize it yet, coming from you or others, you showing up lovingly, kindly, compassionately, you will never regret acting from your heart. There might be a part of you that will potentially feel sadness if they don't receive it, because you know in your heart that you know what they're capable of and the goodness within them, and that's okay. We honor that sadness as well. We honor that desire to help one another. That's just your friendly reminder that can't control anyone else but yourself. So all you can do is choose how you want to show up in the loving way that you want to show up. And allow others to start to see it change, start to feel it. And naturally, one by one, one by one, we will all start to we'll all start to shift. We'll all start to become more kind, caring, and compassionate and loving. I've seen it in my life. I've definitely seen it in my life as I've opened up to love and I've opened up to sharing with others and showing up in this new way. It's very much a ripple effect. So do it. Choose love. And if there's a part of you that thinks that's scary to choose love or to choose the loving option, that's normal. That's natural. Especially if you've grown up in a tumultuous environment. Choosing love can feel very scary if you're not accustomed to feeling it or seeing it. So if choosing love is not there for you yet, or if you're not quite there yet, that's okay. Maybe shoot for just trying to be neutral right now. Maybe shoot for just trying to not have any like major reaction one way or another, or major response one way or another. You'll naturally climb that ladder of like emotional hierarchy of from that pain and suffering up to neutral, up to joy, up to pleasure, up to love. Yeah. I think that completes what I wanted to say on near-death experiences and life reviews and just kind of choosing love. So thank you for tuning in. Thank you for listening.